Hello everyone and welcome to our 5th session of Up to the Challenge. Every session we host guests and highlight the different SDG themes that we'll be covering at the Financial Times X SDG Challenge that we'll be running next month. I see that some people are joining already and it's really great to have you all with us today. Feel free to drop a line in the comments to let us know where you're connecting from. We'd love to hear from you. Today's session is about good jobs and economic growth. Roughly half the world's population still lives on the equivalent of about $2 a day. And in too many places, having a job doesn't guarantee the ability to escape from poverty. This slow and uneven progress requires us to rethink and retool our economic and social policies aimed at eradicating poverty. I can see we've got some comments already. Hello from India. Hi. Hi from Papua New Guinea. Hello, everyone. If you're innovating in the fintech industry, working on solving logistical challenges, e-commerce, or other innovations that promote the increase of inclusive, decent jobs and economic growth, we urge you to apply to the FT X SDG challenge through the link that you'll have. And if you have any questions about the challenge, please drop us a comment. I'm connecting today from Cairo, and my name is Noor. I am the Business Development Coordinator on the FT Talent team. And today I'm really excited to welcome back Jared Lim, the co-founder and CPO of Finology, on stage.
Hi, Noor.
Welcome, Jared.
Hi, Noor. Thanks for having me.
Hi, lovely to have you with us today. Thanks for joining us. Brilliant, Jared. Well, I'd love for you to start us off by just telling us a bit more about yourself and Finology.
I am Jared. I'm from Malaysia. Finology, we're based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and what we're doing is we are working to increase access to financial products and services for people in Malaysia and developing Asia. So what we do is we use our APIs and our underwriting technology to increase the distribution reach and to enable seamless end-to-end journeys for financial products and services. I'm a co-founder in Finology, and I lead the product development and innovation in the company.
Brilliant. And how did it all start? How did you start?
I actually started an aggregator together with my partner back in 2012. It's known as loanstreet.com.my in Malaysia. So back then, when we were aggregating and collecting all these different financial, we started with mortgage products online into a website. People would do comparisons and they would try to apply online. But the banking industry was not really ready for digitally sourced leads. So until today, it's still the same. What they would do is you would start your research online, apply, and then what happens is it will become a manual offline lead drop, which then flows back into the standard offline process of having a salesperson meet you, collect your documents, and start the application process. And approvals still took, on average, 2 weeks. So we wanted to solve this for ourselves in Loan Street, but the problem is actually a common problem because it's not just an aggregator problem. It affects aggregators, it affects property developers, real estate agents alike. So when we said, if you're going to solve this challenge of instant underwriting and seamless journeys, we might as well do it as a industrial infrastructure and make it available as a service to the rest of the industry. And so that is how we started in 2017.
Brilliant. And I guess in terms of the work that you're doing, who are you catering to and how are you supporting the SDG goal that we're talking about today, so good jobs and economic growth?
So what we're really doing is we are catered for the consumer, the mass consumer market, and we want to make finance and insurance and financial services as accessible as possible to everybody. So I'll give you an example. When you apply or when you're looking for a mortgage loan because you want to buy a house. You never really want a mortgage loan just for the sake of it. It's when you buy a house, then you want to take a mortgage loan to see your purchase through, right? Now, how it works in Malaysia, and I believe in many parts of the world, is that there are salespeople who will then help you through with the application process who are incentivized with sales commissions. Now, when you are buying an affordable housing from, say, a government, right? The the loan quantum is very small, but the amount of work needed to help you to get the loan approved is just as much. So these salespeople are not really incentivized to help you with a low value house to help you get a mortgage loan. So you don't get any personalized service, you don't get any help. Now, as a result, when you look at affordable homes in Malaysia, on aggregate, only 17% of bookings, 1/7, actually result in a sale that is seen through to the end and you get a house.
Oh,
Because
wow.
83% of them, most of them, not all, but more, but of the 83%, majority of them could not get access to a loan that helps them see the purchase through. So the whole process is very inefficient for both the person, the property developers who are selling the house, and also for the people who are going into the process of looking for it. So with our technology, what we do is we help to qualify and pre-approve anybody that is looking on behalf of the banks and helping the property developers as well, right? So when you go there, you want to buy the house, immediately you know how much of a loan you can get, and you have equal access regardless of whether you are buying a high-end property or low-end property. You have then equal access to mortgage advisory services and the ability to pre-approve yourself before you actually buy the house. So right now, the overlooked segments of the low-end housing, the low-cost housing, they also get to participate in the biggest medium of generational wealth transfer, which is housing, right?
Of course.
Generational wealth transfer, because now they also have equal access to mortgages, and you can take this problem and apply it to many other financial products. If you're
Brilliant.
asking about the jobs, I'll say there's going to be a lot of creative destruction involved, right? Because all the sales roles might become less and less relevant and move towards more service advisory based roles.
Great. That sounds like a great initiative. So I guess in terms of since you started in 2017, what have been the biggest challenges that you've seen when working in the fintech sector, especially when we're talking about emerging markets?
Uh, the first thing you notice is, of course, regulators. I guess regulators in our part of the world, they can be a bit slow to open up to new stuff, or they will put a lot of hurdles in place that would kill any innovation or initiatives at the grassroots level itself, because compliances are really meant for corporates who are very very established already. And then there is that mix of cynicism and overly profit-oriented realism and overall lack of urgency from the financial services industry to also help to solve and tackle those problems, because to them business is business. Even if we don't solve it or we don't make it more accessible or easier, business will find its way to them anyway, because it's a regulated industry. Not everybody can go in to offer a mortgage loan, as a fintech. And finally, there's one more challenge, which might be endemic to our part of the world, is the sweetheart deals that result in monopolistic kind of environments and corruption, you can say, at the ministries and government level. So that is a real problem.
Yeah. Okay. And my next question was going to be about the biggest kind of barriers to entry that you've faced, but would you say that's kind of similar to what you've just said?
Very similar. I will say that at the very least, with regulators and with the financial services industry, they slowly can open up. But with vested interests, that's uh, that's uh, that's something that might never open up unless, of course, you butter the right side of the biscuit.
Of course. Okay. Brilliant. Well, it sounds like a great initiative. So I guess through the past few years of working on this, what would you say is the impact that you're most proud to have achieved?
We've actually achieved quite a bit. I mean, I've shared a little bit about what we do in mortgages, but
Mm-hmm.
in most recent memory, uh, I have a very clear example of how we increase access to finance and why we are proud of it. So I ride a motorcycle in Malaysia, yeah, and if motorcycles every year, what you have to do is you need to renew your road tax. And to get a road tax, you actually need insurance coverage before you can renew your road tax. Now, with car insurance, motor insurance, and motorcycle insurance both, it's mandatory for you to get insurance and road tax renewed every year. However, if you look at the statistics, there are 13 million cars in Malaysia. 12.5 million are insured with and roadworthy with a legal road tax. But when it comes to motorcycles, only 5 million of 12 million are insured and with roadworthy or road legal.
Okay.
Why is that? If you look at the one of the challenges, right, is that the because car insurances and the road tax, the premiums and the quantums, the margins are higher. So what you have is you have this quasi monopolistic entity that you can go online where you can renew your road tax and your insurance at this website. It's a semi-government linked, yeah. But at this same website, even though they have sort of their concession, you aren't able to do the motorcycles because motorcycle road tax is only 2 ringgit. There's not enough money there for them to want to be
Be
interested to solve
motivated.
this problem. So the only way you
Okay.
can renew your road tax for 2 ringgit, and I face the same problem, is I have to take time off from work, go to the road transport department or go to the
Oh.
post office, press a number queue. Sometimes it could be an hour, sometimes it could be half a
Always
day,
very long queues.
and to renew something that costs 50 US cents and
Right.
buy the insurance, right? So it's very painful. And at the end of the day, I, I failed to renew my road tax and my insurance for my motorcycle for like 3 years running. And then I decided, like, screw this. I think we have the tools in Finology to solve this problem, and we started doing it in 2019 January. We created the first online motorcycle and road tax renewal functionality in Malaysia. And yeah, so that is something that has made a huge difference where we are. People no longer have to spend time queuing up. And during the pandemic, during the movement control order
Yeah, of
because of
course.
COVID, yeah, we saw a huge swell of numbers because you don't really want to queue up at a government office, right? And
No,
yeah,
never.
so right now the motorcyclists are better served. They can renew their motorcycle insurance and road taxes online. So hopefully, I don't know the aggregate numbers, but hopefully we have improved the covered uh, number of covered motorcyclists in Malaysia, as opposed to last time riding around uninsured like myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully we've done our bit, and we're really proud of that.
No, that's great. And it's a bonus that you get to benefit from it as well.
Well, it's from my own
Perfect.
challenges that this service was born, I guess, or this
Basically.
infrastructure for the industry was born.
Brilliant. Great. Okay. My next question to you is I want to know, since you work in the field of fintech, how urgent do you think it is that people innovate for financial inclusion?
First off, personally, I think it's a real injustice that not everyone has equal access to financial, uh, not even financial, just basically basic opportunities in life, And the problem with it is that some of these lack of opportunities or the built-in advantages that we have, they carry on generationally. So if you are in the unlucky basket of being underprivileged,
Mm,
it will happen to your children and your grandchildren if nothing willful is done about it as society, as government, as industry. And it's very difficult for me and you, I guess, to imagine how inconvenient life is for people who don't have access to financial products and services. But I have firsthand, or rather, uh, front row tickets to this because it's not just, when we talk about motorcycle insurance, we talk about mortgage loans, they're still somewhat, uh, I would say, not so inconvenient. You just live with it, right? But in our company, we have actually maybe 4 or 5 staff who cannot even get basic access to a savings account. They are locked out from the banking system for one reason or another. And I can tell you life is very inconvenient for them until today. Now, there are certain reasons for this injustice, uh, but I will say that it's not problems that we as a company can just solve so easily. And I feel that it's more than just innovation that is needed, but it is an urgent need for us to solve these injustices in society and provide everybody equal access. It's not just technology. There are a lot of other regulatory, there are a lot of other loopholes and things that fall through the cracks that we don't see. That because we don't experience it, we don't think about it. But for somebody living that life, it's very, very troublesome.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, I guess going on to a bit more positive as well, through Finology, there must have been a couple of success stories with your clients. So are you able to share maybe one or two?
Yeah, sure. So the first one will be in the mortgage sector. I remember I was telling you about the affordable housing. So one of our one of our clients, I think back in 2019, I think in 2019 or 2020, they were selling these affordable housing project, and I told you what the conversion rate was, right? So from every balloting or every sign up, you will expect maybe about only 20% to see the purchase through. Then you have to repeat the events in the balloting. So they engaged us to help them run this event or this pre-approval process as part of their event. And we managed to get their approval process to beyond 80%, meaning the matchmaking of the uh, people who were balloting for the low cost housing versus the success rate was beyond 80%. So that is something that's a significant bump already in their success rate, right? And
Yeah,
another
definitely.
would be remember I was sharing with you also about how we were not just building an aggregator, but we were building infrastructure for the rest of the industry that can also share. So in 2021, yes, just a couple of months, I think in Q1 or Q2, the largest online classified site in Malaysia, it's known as Muda.my, they decided that they also wanted to have a motorcycle and car insurance and road tax renewal marketplace because it just fits. People go to their website to look for second-hand cars and motorcycles, right? So it just fits.
Makes
And
sense.
instead of them taking years to develop the infrastructure and get it up, they partnered with us. It's live now, and we got it up in under 6 months' time. And it's yeah, it's working well for everybody.
Brilliant. That's an incredible achievement. Great. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, and then we'd love to know what we can expect to see from Finology in the future. What are kind of the big plans?
So we have already made forays into serving mortgage services, digital mortgage services, digital insurance services. The next for us, which we will be rolling out in 2021, will be some infrastructure for the car loans and the automotive sector. So right
Okay.
now, our team is working really hard with two clients or two partners, I would say, to bring the same treatment or the same difference that we've made in mortgages to the automotive sector. And we hope that as we continue to work thanklessly, I might say, that in time we will become the largest embedded financial services provider in Malaysia.
Brilliant. Yeah, hopefully. Great. Before I move on from Finology, if that's okay, I'd love to take a few questions from our audience.
Yes, sure, please.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, great. Firstly, we have a question from Daria, and she said, "Do you think it's important to have governmental or institutional support?"
Yes, absolutely. Especially when it comes to something as regulated and tightly scrutinized as financial services, because it's on both sides. Yeah, number one, you need the loosening of regulations to be more friendly to innovations, to new ways of doing things. But at the same time, you also need regulatory scrutiny because if not, you're going to get the wild west of money lenders going into the space as well, which then starts introducing people to payday and predatory loans, to very shady business practices that is all out to milk or maximize profit without any regard for the quality of the other person or the end of the contract.
Of course. And going back to that topic that we said about regulators and corruption, somebody's asked because they have the same challenges in Papua New Guinea, and they said, what are some of the strategies that you have in place to overcome this challenge?
Corruption. Well, it's a bigger
It's a big
topic
one.
than it's a bigger conversation than just a strategy that Finology or we implement. So the only thing we can do is just continue to engage and hope to push down each wall. I can say we've had limited or some small successes in winning at least certain concessions from the relevant ministries or even in moving into certain vested interest territory, or at least forcing some change in the way they do business. But overall, I can say that when it comes to authorities or vested interests or people in power, you have to have the right dynamics in place that to cause change, and not everything can be done on your side. So all you can do is just be persistent and persevere in your mission. That's it. Hopefully, more and more people will come around.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think it's a big thing to be. It's a big challenge. So yeah, persistent. That's great.
Yeah.
Great advice. Brilliant. Our next question is what has been your number one challenge in achieving your objectives till now? I guess we touched slightly on the challenges, but maybe in terms of your personal objectives with Finology.
It's been a lot slower to realize good revenue because what we do is not so straightforward. The model we do is pretty new. The ideas that we have is very ambitious, and there are not many peers to compare against vis-a-vis what we do. So, uh, as a business, I will say that our the fruits will come the returns will come with a longer time horizon, and having the patience and trying to gather investors and supporters and even a team, right, who wants to build with you over a longer time horizon is not easy. It's not easy to help people to see and be patient along with you. So that is one of the challenges because at least in our case, it might not be relevant to everybody, but what we're doing is not immediately obvious and not immediately appreciated. But when it works, then that's when things click together for people. But you see if you can outlast until you get to that point. And we have
Fingers
to repeat the
crossed.
process. We have to repeat the process with every partner, every rollout,
Yeah.
and that can be painful.
No, of course I can imagine. Okay, I've got one more question for you here. So it says, how do you facilitate scrutiny in your startup efficiently?
How do we facilitate scrutiny? What sort of scrutiny?
Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the person who asked can elaborate. Okay, while if they want to elaborate on that, I've got a few wrap-up questions for you. So obviously we have the FTX SDG challenge coming up, and we'll be scouting people who can propose innovative solutions to good jobs and economic growth, and among other topics. What, in your opinion, are the areas that are most urgent to address within this topic?
Good jobs and economic growth. Uh, I don't know about the economic growth. I don't know if that is I know this is a theme of today's topic and our Financial Times program and Seedstars program, but I don't know if it's something that is very urgent to address. That economic growth is always imperative among us. But I will say what I think, even if it's an inconvenient truth. I believe the real urgency is for innovative solutions to reverse an undeniable trend in the world of increasing wealth and income disparity. So, wealth is how much you have already captured as a net worth, right? Income being how much you continue to capture on a recurring basis. So this has been growing at a very, very alarming and steady clip. In 2016, the world actually crossed the red line very uneventfully. Nobody noticed, but we crossed this line where the top 1% of people in the world now own more than half of the world's wealth.
Yeah.
1% of the world owns more than half of the world's wealth, which leaves less than half for the rest of the 99% of the world. Now, why I say economic growth is not as important as addressing this disparity is because even if economy grows on aggregate, you know how you measure economic growth? GDP, right? So even if the economy grows on aggregate every year, if it is only being captured and enjoyed by a select few, what difference does it make to everyone else or to the most of the world other than people outside of that haloed circle? So I don't personally think that economic growth, it is good for everybody if the economy grows in a sense, as long as it doesn't come at the cost of the environment, at the cost of our social justice. But if economic growth is the only goal or the only thing that we put as the priority number one, then I think we're all missing the point. If it's not
Yeah.
shared growth, I feel it's missing the point.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So kind of focus on economic growth while being aware of that disparity that you spoke about, and kind of making sure that we're addressing it from that aspect and not just economic growth for the top 1%. Brilliant. Okay,
Yeah.
we've had some clarification on the question. So they've said in terms of scrutiny with regards to fintech, I believe. So he said, how do you manage scrutiny in your startup, especially with regards to fintech? And I think maybe
Scrutiny
that
from
links. I think that links quite well to another question that we've had. Maybe this is a good link. It says, being a new financial service, did you face any trust issues from customers? So maybe we mean scrutiny in that sense, scrutiny from
uh,
customers.
one of the things that we do is because we are very much in the background, we white label a lot of our services. So
Okay.
we hide behind big brands. We don't really hide behind big brands. We have our own aggregator brand, which at the beginning, yes, there was trust issues, but it's established for so long already that right now there isn't really any trust issues from customers. But most of our services are behind big brands, white labeling.
Okay.
Uh, we provide rails as a service, right? Industrial infrastructure as a service, right? Or financial services as a service to the rest of the industry. So, no, we don't have issues from the customer scrutiny side.
Okay. Cool. Well, I would like to ask you one last question to wrap up. So, being a successful entrepreneur, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs? And is there a message that you would like to share to our audience?
Well, I do think that if you want to go far, it's very important to gather the right people, the right team, the right mentors, the right investors. Basically, the right people means any kind for you to go far, especially your core team. So there are going to be a lot of uncertainties and things that come at you from different angles that you never expected. And your business case might be the best, your product might be the best, but none of them on their own are going to carry you through if you don't have the right team in place to weather the ups and downs with you.
Sure.
And yeah, that's what I would say to any aspiring entrepreneurs.
Brilliant. I think that's a great message. Well, thank you so much, Jared, and thank you so much for your time and being with us here today. Is there anything else that you would like to share before you leave us?
No, thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on today's session. We just wanted to remind you that this year we, as the Financial Times, have partnered with Seedstars to give our global FT talent competition a new twist. So as we said, we're looking at the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and we're looking at 6 of those goals. So our topics for this year are gender equality, good jobs and economic growth, which we've been talking about today, good health and well-being, quality education, climate action, and reduced inequalities. And right now the applications are open. We're looking for startups, we're looking for individuals that are interested in any of these topics, and we'd love to hear from you to take part in our challenge. Actually, applications close very soon, so please get those applications in because the deadline is November 1st. We are looking for seed stage startups to apply to any of those 6 themes, and startups can win up to $500,000 US in investment and 3 months enrollment to Seedstars growth program, as well as a visibility package from the Financial Times. So we would love to hear from you. We would love for you to apply. If you have any questions or comments on the competition, please drop them in the comments and we will respond. Thanks so much for joining us today.